Nakia Clark, and I'm the Senior Community Outreach and Engagement Manager at Roswell Park. Welcome to another episode of our on-demand videos hosted by our Center for Translational Research on Cannabis and Cancer. As many of you know, New York State legalized cannabis for recreational adult use in 2021, and we hope to quickly delve into some of the ins and outs of what this new law means for you and your loved ones as you navigate the cannabis landscape. At Roswell Park, we have a group of dedicated experts who are leading the charge on scientific evidence and research as it relates to cancer prevention, care, and public health. Welcome both. Thank you for coming. In this episode, we're going to look at how cannabis is used in youth and young adults. We're thankful to be joined by Dr. Nicholas Schlentz from Roswell Park. He's a scientist in the Department of Health Behavior, and also Devonna Wilkinson, a mother of three who's here to learn more about cannabis use as well. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So let's delve into the first question. We know that this is a hot topic, and since cannabis use has been legalized, does that mean that more kids will start using it?
So despite all the laws that are changing and the increasing number of states that have legalized cannabis, many of us think that, oh no, there's gonna be more kids and teens using it. But actually, recent data suggests that, when they followed kids in states before and after the laws passed for legalizing cannabis, that there was no change in use, but it's still something that's, being actively monitored by larger studies.
Well, that's interesting, to know. I know a lot of probably communities' thought is that once it's legalized, more kids will want to use it. So that's really good information. And so what about cannabis use and how addictive it is for youth?
So in teens, we don't always see daily use. We often see, episodes of periodic use and even binge use. And just over time, with more use, your body becomes acclimated to having that drug on board, which we call tolerance. So in that case, as time unfolds, you're needing to use more to get that same effect. And even more so, further down the road with, increased use, you have cravings when you're not using it, and even withdrawal symptoms that can make it difficult to quit or abstain altogether. So it's a real concern.
So Devonna, knowing that you are a mother of three school-age children and knowing that they're exposed to hearing about cannabis use, what are some of your concerns?
One of my main concerns would be more so with children with disabilities that take medication, that does not take medication. How will that affect them? And then you also have children that get diagnosed at an early age, and you just mentioned that with teens they can get addicted to it. If they get prescribed it, let's say at age 5, how will that affect them when they be 18 and say they still need it?
You're talking about like being prescribed like cannabis?
Yes.
Okay. That's a great question because, in prior settings, I worked with a nonprofit where, we really focused on learning more about, medical use among children and teens with various disabilities, including like epilepsy.
Okay.
And there really, haven't been enough long-term studies yet to really document the side effects. One of the common things that we see is the use of CBD, which is part of the cannabis plant that doesn't produce like the, feeling high or feeling good.
Right.
And there's some evidence to suggest that has like some, adverse effects with repeated use on like GI symptoms, stomach troubles, but by and large, it's still an area for expedition.
And we know that a lot of teens are exposed to vaping. That's the trending thing now, and we're learning so much more about vaping. So in terms of cannabis, how risky is it to vape cannabis?
It's a little different, compared to, in the whole nicotine and e-liquids and flavorings that we've been seeing on the news and just nationwide. With cannabis, you tend to vape, oils and extracts from the plant that are usually placed into a cartridge in the vape pen. And compared to just traditional methods of consuming cannabis, like a joint, a blunt, or even a bong, what's placed in vape pens are these concentrates that have much higher levels of THC. So this can lead to, more adverse, side effects, compared to just those standard methods. So New York State actively monitors the levels of THC in the concentrates that are available for, public purchase at dispensaries.
And so what would it mean for youth that use cannabis in their school performance or even in social interactions or social relationships?
Those are the two areas where you see most of the consequences of cannabis among youth and adolescents. Among that same population that have been in treatment and in other large observational studies, school truancy is frequently endorsed, not doing their homework or completing other responsibilities, and then deteriorating friendships as well, both family and with existing groups of friends. So those can kind of be used as the two kind of signals for checking in with your child to ask them kind of like what's going on.
How early in age is cannabis being prescribed to children for medical use?
You'd be surprised. It can go really early based on the medical condition and the severity of the symptoms that they're hoping to treat with the cannabis. So for that other work that I was mentioning with epilepsy, that can occur as early as 1 or 2 years of age for more serious, versions of epilepsy and seizure disorder. So yeah, it really depends, but pretty much any time.
And what would you say to parents that are listening right now and caregivers of children, and even Devonna when she wants to talk to her kids about cannabis use? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think we can easily revert to the, when I was your age, but it's a different day and age for a number of factors, both with the cannabis marketplace, but also with how COVID has changed, a number of things. I think the key take home for this though is just, to come off as genuine and open, and don't give your child the sense that they're being judged. Simply, even as adults, the act of feeling like you're being heard or listened to feels really good, and that same kind of interaction is important for gaining more information from your child or teen, and that can be an opening for asking does anyone use cannabis at your school? What have you heard? Have you ever been offered cannabis? And again, just listening, in a non-judgmental way can foster that open dialogue that's crucial for, communication.
And that's so important, listening and being non-judgmental.
Right.
I think that's great advice. Well, thank you, Dr. Schlentz, for giving us that information, and thank you, Devonna, for being here and offering a parent's perspective. I appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. Just like that, we've wrapped up another episode. And if you want more information about cannabis use and cannabis research, please visit our website at roswellpark.org/cannabis research. Have a great day.